Hello everyone, myself Nikhil and you are watching COA Division I YouTube channel from Vishwakarma Institute of Technology, Pune. This is group number 8 with the topic of use of MAR and MDR in memory access. Basically, we will be understanding about performing read and write operation of memory using MAR and MDR. First of all, let's us understand what is read and write operation in memory. We all know that to store anything we need a space, that is, we kept it at a room. So when we talk about performing programming or a software, we need a memory. We measure memory by the read speed and a write speed. In a computer we use RAM and ROM. RAM has a high speed as compared to ROM, because RAM is a temporary memory. So, when we talk about read and write operation in memory, a memory unit stores binary information in group of bits called word. Data input line provide information to store into the memory. Output lines carry the information out from a memory. That controls lines read and write specifies the direction of transfer of data. Basically, in the memory organization, that there is 2 to the power n memory location indexing from 0 to 2 to the power l minus 1, where n is 2 to the, uh, n is equal to 2 to the power n byte, where l is the total address buses and n is the memory in bytes.
Hello everyone, my name is Kartik and I am going to explain the MAR. So what is MAR? MAR stands for the Memory Address Register. It is a hardware component of a computer CPU, or we can say component of the computer's processor that stores the memory address of the data that the CPU wants to access from the computer's memory. So when a program or application is executed on a computer, the CPU needs to access the data from the memory. To do so, the CPU needs to know the address of the memory location where the data is stored. This is where the memory address register or MAR comes into play. The MAR basically holds the address of the memory location that the CPU wants to read from or write to. The CPU sends the address to the MAR, which then sends the address to the memory controller. Now the memory controller uses the address to locate the data in the memory and then sends the data to the CPU. The size of the MAR is determined by the architecture of the CPU. For example, in a 32-bit CPU, the MAR will be 32 bits wide, which means it can address up to 4 GB of the memory. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Limay. I will explain what is MDR. MDR stands for Memory Data Register, which is type of register used in computer architecture to store data temporarily during memory operations. Now, the MDR is a special register that is used to hold the data that is being transferred to or from the main memory. When a CPU needs to access a specific location in the memory, it sends the address of that location to the memory controller. The memory controller retrieves the data from that location to the memory controller. The memory controller it back to the CPU when stores the data in the MDR. The MDR is used to temporarily hold data that is being read from or write to memory. When data is being read from memory, it is stored in the MDR before it is processed by the CPU. Similarly, when data is being written to memory, it is first stored in the MDR before it is written to the appropriate location in memory.
So, hello everyone, I am Shaunak and as we learned about MAR and MDR, now we are going to learn about how they are used in read and write operations. I am going to explain about the read operation. So, a memory read operation is the process of retrieving data stored in a computer's memory, which we know as the RAM, and transferring it to the processor and other components that require it for further processing. In a typical read operation, a processor sends a request to the memory controller specifying the address in memory where the data is stored. The memory controller then receives the data from the specified memory location and sends it back to the processor over a data bus. This processor can then be used the retrieved data for processing or store it in another location for future use. So in this picture we can see a typical memory read operation. So in a memory read operation, initially the MDR contains any garbage value or any value it can contain. Then a memory address is stored in the MAR, and then after the execution of this operation, the data which is present at the address will transfer into the MDR, and hence the memory data operation would terminate. This is the summary of the process of memory read operation using MAR and MDR.
So hello everyone, my name is Kashish and I'm going to tell you about what is the write operation. Now see, the CPU is little dumb. Every time it writes and reads the memory, it has to specify the exact address, the exact data and the exact signals. So what happens is in the write operation, the CPU gives signals using control buses, and it asks MAR for an address. It asks for an address. So now you can see in the image in MAR 22003 is written. It's an arbitrary value and it's a continuous memory. Continuous memory we have using. We assume it to be continuous here. And then what happens is when the control signal is given, the MAR uses there is an address saved there, and it takes that address and it looks for it. And then after that, on that given location, the data on the MDR is given to the data bus, and then it goes and is saved in the memory. This very simple task is continuously repeated, and CPU has to wait for every time it gives the signal for this whole cycle to complete. So this is called a memory write operation, and using this, the memory is written from the MDR to the memory, and this is very simple. Thank you. So thank you guys. This was our effort by our team effort to explain you how MAR and MDR are used to read and write the memory. And we would like if you please like this video, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.